Hello card fighters, welcome back to another video. Today I am your host Callum and I'm bringing to you another updated deck profile on my boy Rorowa. Excuse me. Today we are doing it's not much change from the last one you saw for the set 11 stuff, and this just contains one card from set 12, waiting for now that they've announced the production schedule, which is 2 weeks on Sunday. Hopefully set 14 will have something to offer for Rorowa, but for now let's get into it. So starting off, we have my ride line. It honestly has not changed, still running SPs of everything because I've just got to. I mean, even the playmat says I've got to. So moving on to Grey Freeze, we have 4 Viridescent Flash Rorowa. This is the new one from set 11. So basically, skill is when this unit is placed on from riding the people class, the OG, the original Rorowa, you make up to 2 plant tokens, and they get the ability that active on your opponents as well, is when they're retired from Guardian from the rearguard circle, you draw a card and you activate with Center Ride. Then when it attacks, you bind for one's precious thing Rorowa from the soul, choose one of your rear guards with glitter, which would realistically be Momoke, and you give that unit plus Rorowa 5k, and Rorowa gains an extra critical, and at the end of the turn you ride it as rest. So without boosts and other skills, it becomes a 28k attacker, double crit, which is nice. Having that crit pressure on Rorowa is nice because it now makes it, instead of having just a defense, it's now offense and defense. So play set. Moving on, I am now running, let me just grab them, 3 Undoubting Flame Sword Raidalina, the grade 3 that came in set 8. I am tempted to get one of these in a double frame rare because it is nice. So, moving on, skill, at the beginning of your main phase, if you do not have a Momoke token, which is this token right here, if you do not have one of these on your rearguard soul, make one. Then it's glitter skill. If I have a Rorowa Vanguard, at the end of the battle, your unit with Raidalina and its card name attacked, which doesn't specify it has to be the grade 2 Radi, it could be the grade 3 as well. Where it attacks if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or grade up, retire a rearguard with Grady and Momoke, call it to the rearguard circle, and this unit's power increases by the power of Momoke until the end of turn. Because this is before they made the errata, so it's basically, it won't be for the rest of the game. It's literally just until the end of turn, which, to be honest, I think a lot of people knew. But yeah, it can hit high numbers, especially if you hit the over trigger, which we'll get into later. And then I am only running 3 Resolute Pair of Eyes, and I am actually changing this one for the new one that was released with the SP artwork instead, because it's a lot cleaner and you get to see more of the artwork, which is nice. And well, I just love Rorowa. So without further ado, set order. If you have a Vanguard with Rorowa in its card name, play this card with a Cannon Blast and retire a rearguard, which you can actually combo with Signpost Fairy to give Momoke 10k power, which is I tend to normally try and combo with. Or if you're doing it on your Persona ride, you can retire a plant token and draw. So, when this unit is placed in the order zone, search your deck for up to 1 card of Raidalina. Doesn't have to be grade 2, it can be the grade 3 as well. Reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. Then, continue its order zone. During your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Rorowa in its card name, all your back row tokens get 5k. So what's interesting is, at first, not a lot of people thought about it, is you can actually, say you've got that, say this is your order zone. The powers stack, so that basically gives 15k to your back rows, which for Momoke, as you would know, makes it very lethal. It's 20 without its skill. And then combo it with Signpost Fairy, that takes it to what? 30 plus Momoke skill, you could probably look at about 40. And then with the new Rorowa, you're looking at about 45, 50. without triggers, without even getting started on your dry check triggers. And we already know how lethal that is. So moving on to grade 2s. We are running naturally 4 grade 2 Drag Ritter of Flame Blossoms Radiolina. So everyone should by now should know what this card does, especially if you've been keeping up with my Rorowa decks. It's never really changed, but for those who have only just coming into this one, it is at skill. If you do not have a Momoke, Counterblast, call up to 1 Momoke token. And then if your Vanguard is Rorowa, when this unit attacks Soul Blast 1, choose one of your token units in the same column. So it doesn't have to be Momoke, but for the best output of the deck, you would have Momoke behind anyway. This inherits the power, including increased value. So what that means is that it basically, if you stack triggers on Momoke, it basically gets whatever the power Momoke was swinging at. And then we are running 2 Affectionate Hunter Marius from set 11, the double rare. So it's skill, because I think this is actually pretty good, but 2 or 3 is about enough, I think, for the deck. So when this unit is placed from hand, if you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Rorowa in its card name, Soul Blast 1, and retire 2 of your rear guards, which, if you do it right, you go Persona Ride the new Rorowa, you call 2 tokens with the draw skills. Use Marius skill to draw 2, and then if you're lucky and you haven't got one yet, you can draw into a set order, which you could combo, because you, following the skill on, after you sack 2 rear guards, you get to choose a grade 2 or less card in your drop and call it to real. So there's some options. You could do mushrooms to make more tokens to stack for Momoke, or you can call a Signpost Fairy if you have one in drop to give it to then pop with Momoke skill to get Momoke plus 15 because of Signpost Fairy skill. So there's options. Moving on to its secondary skill. Auto front row rear guard. At the start of your battle phase, if you have a unit with Rorowa in its card name and a Radiolina in its card name, you may call up to 1 rear guard, which, to be honest with this deck, you'll always have a Radi on board. Well, you'll try to have a Radi on board, but 9 times out of 10 you will. Then for the last grade 2, I'm running 1 Tear Knight Fletch. Why? Solely because of its skill that when this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, it gets plus 5k to the end of the battle for each of your tokens, which basically means it's plus 15k max, or plus 20 if you haven't got a Radiant, you've literally just got a board of tokens. But if you combo that with at least 1 or 2 set orders with plant tokens, Tear Knight Fletch can swing lethal on top of like triggers as well. Moving on to grade 1s, we are running 3 Signpost Fairies that came out in set 8. Its skill is very nice. When this unit is retired by your card's ability from Rearguard Circle, if your Vanguard is a glitter, choose one of your grade 1 or less Rearguards and it gets plus 10,000 power. So 9 out of 10, you either want to retire this with Momoke or the set order, so you can give Momoke the 10k. But if you use Momoke, it's basically given 15 because it's 5k from Momoke skill per unit, and then you got 10 from its skill. So 9 out of 10, you'd literally either do it that way, and that's that. Next we have 3 Burrow Mushrooms, and one of them is a Frameway because we got lucky. I would run this at 4, but I've not been able to get another hands on another copy yet. But its skill is, at skill, put this unit into the soul and call up to 2 plant tokens if you have a grade 3 of Radiant Vanguard or Ground Fear in its name. Yeah. So we don't actually bother with the Ground Fear part, but we only just choose the top line where it's basically put it to soul, make 2 tokens, which for Rorowa is very nice. And what you want to try and do is, a side game, you want to get this in your hand, even if it's lucky top deck 5 or you mulligan. And then if you go in second, it's nicer because you can just say, okay, you ride the grade 2, you retire the back row token, you make a column of token here, you call the mushroom down, move it to soul, you make another column. So then you've got 3 lots of 10 going in. And with another card that I'm running in here, it'll make the tokens swing a lot higher and a lot more lethal. I'm only running at the minute because I've only been able to get hands on one of them, is Prize Trident, a counter charge. Because this deck can basically do 5 attacks, we can prop its skill of going into the soul and counter charging, because this deck build, my specific build, is Cannon Blast heavy, since it's focusing on particularly 2 units to Cannon Blast, which is my set order to place it and the Grey 2 Ready to make a Momoke. So having a counter charge is nice. Next up, as Luke likes to say, it's PGs. It's just PGs. What, we don't need to go in, it's PGs. We don't need to go into that. I would have Amortized Link 2, but it's still expensive, and I'm running 1 in Baiko because it's going to BCS. Right, moving on to grade 0s. So first up is the new addition to the deck, which is from set 12. It is a rare, and it is Bless the Blossoming Bud. So I'm running 2 because I only need to activate it twice if I'm lucky. But you can activate this early, or you can activate it late. So if you're going early, you want to do it preferably on your grade 2 turn. If you can get this and Burrow Mushrooms in your hand, your grade 2 is going to be very highly offensive, that your opponent's either going to bank on getting a damage trigger, the OT, or hoping to get a perfect card, because the skill would be, let me set up a board for you as a demonstration. So you've got your grade 2 Rorowa, and then with its skill, you've made 2 tokens. You've put Mushrooms to Soul. So this is what your board looks like. So then you cast this. So what's it do? Until the end of turn, all your units with the original power of 5,000 or less gets power plus 10k until the end. And when this unit attack hits, you may return this unit to the hand. So in hindsight, that other half of the skill is irrelevant. But what's more important is the fact that these tokens, which are, as you can see, 5k base, gives them 10k power, which means you have a 30k plus your 10k Vanguard. So in this scenario, what you want to do is you want to go, okay, I swing with the Vanguard. Okay, damage, you drive, he says, all right, no guard, and say, all right then, I drive check, front trigger. So those two 30ks have now gone to 40, which means even higher and lethal. And then late game, mainly, your main focus is you want to get back row boosts of all tokens plus your Momoke. Because this just adds another 10k to Momoke, which we all know, higher number Momoke means higher number Radiolinas, which we all know is very painful. We all know how painful that can be. So now, moving on to my trigger lineup. As most decks, we are running 3 Serene Maiden, Lena, discard fodder, or just 10k shields. Ideal is just discard fodder. Nothing more to be said about that. Next up, we are running 4 criticals. To be honest, with this build, with my build, you really don't need as many crits. Because you're going to have a full board 90% of the time, you want to hit high numbers around the board. So we have the SP. Everyone loves an SP. Aspiring Maiden and Lana, we have 2 of them. Mainly if you're desperate for soul, shove them to soul. And just 2 of the Sylvan Horn Beasts, Jackalopes. Just because it's just generic triggers. Then we are running 4 Frenzied Heiress, 20k shields, and it's a front trigger. So my build basically consists of rainbow triggers, but considering how the board goes with Persona riding the new Rorowa, making it 28k, and then you've got, say, Fletch, back row tokens, you've got Momoke sitting about 40k with skills, and then you've got the grade 2 Radiolina, and you've got grade 3 in hand. Having front triggers is nice because it's boosting your front row, which boosts Radi even more. And then for heals, I am running 1 of every type of heal. Yes, you heard me correctly, 1 of every type. Mainly just to test play, see how it goes. So we just have the generic 1, Flurry Tone from the Leonon trial deck. We have Zipsophilia Fairy Asher, which is your restand. Which, to be honest, a lot of the decks I face do have restands. Alchemic Hedgehog, crit, generic skills, which again, I fight a lot of crits. And just for now, I've got the Frame Rare Neo TG. I'm not even going to try and butcher that up anymore. That is if your opponent's Vanguard is higher grade than you, which if you're facing Griff or grade 4s, it's there. And then for the other trigger, for now, it is still Blessed Favor. I would run the Fire Elemental. I have proxied it. Both are very lethal. So what I mean by that is if you're, again, Persona Rated onto Veritas and Rorowa, you're swinging 28 double crit. Opponent makes it OT to pass, okay, you OT on your first drive check, you give a critical to, you just basically give error all the effects onto Rorowa. And basically you swing at 3 damage. Now I have test played and I have been able to do it once, which is using the Proxy and the Fire King Cray Elemental. And basically swing with Rorowa, it got PG'd. I drive check the over trigger. I have Rorowa stand, so I give it the 100 million and restand skill. So then you go with Momoke, swing for 100 million. Okay, it restands. Swing again, 100 million. That's 200 million so far. Then you have the grade 2 Radalina skill. Inherit that 100 million. Another 100 million attacks. So that's now three times you've swung with 100 million. Then you add the grade 3 Radalina to the board. Another one. So you're basically doing a 400 million attack. And if your opponent hasn't got the hand to guard it, oh boy, does it win you the game. But for now, because it's still too expensive, the second best option or tied option is, of course, Blessed Favor, which basically guarantees every single trigger effect, which is really stupid. So yeah, and it has always won me in clutch. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Me and Luke are planning on doing some videos on Sunday, mainly to make up for that poor video we had of Griffith Gila versus Baiko, which has been removed. We will probably be redoing that video along with some others, and as far as I'm aware, Luke is planning on doing a deck profile of his crossover dress. So keep an eye out for that. Bye!